Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GVWR.
Sonic Radio. Welcome back to Sonic RNDIO. That spells radio with me, the CIO. This just in, the new Sonic $1.99 menu lets you build a crave-worthy meal for just $1.99 an item. Whether that's a creamy shake, crispy tots, or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger. This just out. Ostriches. They're mean, not very cute, and in my opinion, way too big for a bird. Don't miss the Sonic Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99. Live free, eat Sonic.
Tax not included. See menu for details.
Grizzlies fans, dunks, dimes, and no-looks are great on TV, but nothing compares to catching them IRL. And that starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight in person. From seeing your favorite Grizzlies stars up close to hearing the squeak of the sneakers on the hardwood. Put that jersey collection to use and get tickets at Ticketmaster. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside, Memphis.
John Cena was spilling life lessons on this stream, bro. So the best thing I watched all week, John Cena on the Cassinet stream. By the way, he stole your hairdo. You got to make a phone call.
I was about to say, you showed me a little bit of this clip because I saw the messy room, and the only thing I could see is John Cena's hair. I mean, come on, bro.
He stole your bar.
It's literally identical.
He stole your flow, bar for bar, word for word.
How is mine more gray than his, though?
Tune in to Grind City Wrestling weekly on the Grind City Media app and on the Grind City Media YouTube channel.
Live from the Built Ford Tough studio at FedEx Forum, it's the Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South, on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. Now, here's your host, Gary Parrish.
What's up, y'all? Welcome into the Gary Parrish Show. Today it's Wednesday, and I'm not Gary Parrish. I'm Lane Whitaker. I'm sitting in for GP today. I don't know where GP is. Bennett doesn't know where GP is. Bennett's here, though. And
yes.
And we're coming to you live from the Built Ford Tough studio here at FedEx Forum. It's a Wednesday. It's a Grizzlies game day. So today on the show, we're going to get into the Grizzlies and why we can't score in the third quarters. We're going to solve that problem.
I would hope so.
Yeah, we're going to figure that out.
Good.
And then Michael Wallace is going to join us. We'll talk some more about the Grizzlies. We're going to talk about the start of the season they've had. And then on 5 things, we got a lot of stuff to get into. Including,
I'm excited about 5 things today.
Rudy Gay. We got to talk about Rudy Gay retiring. We're going to talk about some NFL news and notes, some Aaron Rodgers shenanigans, as always. It's really Bennett's time of year right now. It's the spooky season.
I do love this time of year, man.
This is it for you.
Yeah, I just get that tingly feeling.
I'm just gonna let that sit there
let that marinate for a second.
and then we got other stuff to get to at the end too on the takeout. But we got a big show today, and excited to be here.
GP is currently speaking to students at the University of Mississippi. So yeah,
what's he telling them?
Oh,
career advice or just other stuff. Is he just hanging out?
I think he's just hanging out talking to them. I just think he wants to feel young again.
He's on the quad.
Yeah.
Just sitting there. With
What's that? Where do they play now? What's that arena called? That basketball? It's not the Tad Pad anymore. It's something else now.
I was gonna say Vaught Hemingway, but that's the football stadium.
Yeah. No, they got a nice new basketball arena, so maybe he's touring that too. I don't know.
Yeah. My wife was there yesterday, actually, doing something
at Ole Miss.
Yeah, at Ole Miss, and she said after it was like such a nice day yesterday. And she said after she had a breakfast meeting, when she finished, she walked around the downtown where the bookstore is and the city grocery and all that stuff is. And Oxford's got a nice little
Oxford's not bad. Oxford's not bad. I used to be a hater. I've tried to change my ways over the years. Like the only one that's like been really tough for me to come around on is the Vols, and I'm trying my best. But as far as like,
you mean like on Knoxville or?
Just like teams that
teams you don't like.
Yeah, teams that I don't like. That in my youth when I was a alum of the University of Memphis, when I was a student at the University of Memphis. there was certain teams that you just hated, the regional teams, and I'm trying to change my ways. I'm trying to be more mature as I grow.
Someone in the chat said it's called the Pavilion.
The Pavilion, yes. Okay, cool. Right on.
I don't know. Anyway, so GP's not here. I'm here, and we're going to talk about the Grizzlies. Hey, have you heard the Grizzlies have had some troubles early this season? I don't know. You might, if you're on social media, maybe it's gotten to you.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing this time of year is scarier than Grizzlies third quarters.
I mean, the Grizzlies have been in every game this season.
For sure.
They might have had a lead in every game this season, come to think of it. But they've lost 2 games this season, mainly because of their third quarter performance. Against Houston, gave up a 17-0 run in the third quarter. Against the Orlando Magic, they won that game, but gave up a 21-0 run to the Magic. Against the Bulls, I think it ended up being like 39-9 in the second half at one point.
Yeah, I mean, they let them score 72 points in the second half. So
yeah. The Grizzlies have allowed 44 3-pointers in the second half.
It was a 19-0 run at one point, I believe.
To the Bulls?
To the Bulls, yeah.
Grizzlies have allowed 44 3-pointers in the second half, which is the most in the NBA. And the question is, why? So I went to practice yesterday.
Okay.
So the Grizzlies.
Oh, we got some insider info. Let's go.
So the Grizzlies usually, they've got 6 games in 9 days to start the season. Taylor Jenkins has been very upfront about trying to manage minutes, the minute load, or I can't remember what he called it. He's trying to not play guys too much. And normally, the last few years in this situation, the Grizzlies would probably take yesterday off. They do that pretty regularly when they have a ton of games.
A bunch of games in 1 week, okay.
They would not have a real full practice. The guys would come in, they would do their individual workouts, but they wouldn't have a full team practice. They had practice yesterday.
Okay.
Which that was signal number 1 to me that, all right, something's up, right? If we're going to go with the trying to piece pieces together, right? Try to figure out things, how it works. Having practice yesterday, all right, that's something. Something's up there. I get to practice, and we have to wait outside. And normally we wait outside. We get there toward the end of practice, and there's shooting drills or whatever. You can hear guys clapping. It's not a lot of stuff. There was guys getting after it yesterday, and yelling and cursing and talking about sending guys on defense and checking in with stuff. I heard Marcus Smart yelling some. I heard Taylor Jenkins yelling some. I heard people yelling. And then Marcus Smart was made available to us when we went into practice. And he said, he was look, we got to clean stuff up. But he's this has happened the last few years. The start of the season, the last few years, the Grizzlies have struggled on defense. And then usually December, things all of a sudden magically somehow turn, and the Grizzlies become a top 5 defense in the league.
It is true. Vernon's talked about this a lot on his show. Taylor Jenkins' record in January is insane. He's one of the best coaches in the league in January in his tenure here in Memphis. So they clearly are able to adjust in season.
But for some reason not in game, it seems like. Right? For some reason, the second half of these games, it's just been a disaster.
Yeah.
The third quarter specifically of these games. There's a lot of numbers to look at in all this. My guy Sean Coleman on Twitter has tweeted a lot about this. There was some stat that Jaren and Brandon Clark and Marcus Smart on the floor together are just through the roof in terms of plus minus. The Grizzlies are awesome with those 3 guys on the floor together. But Jaren's barely been on the floor this season, and he only played 24 minutes in the game the other night. Now, you may have heard some complaints about that also if you're on the social medias about how many minutes Jaren got to play the other night.
Yeah, and I thought his quote was pretty he understands why, ramp up from injury. I don't remember exactly.
Jaren talked about it before the game.
It was basically something I hate it, but I know it's part of it.
Look, I mean, he missed the entire preseason.
Right.
He missed the first couple games of the season. So going into that Bulls game, he's not going to play 40 minutes, right? There's going to be some ramp-up period. Against Orlando, that was his first game, and there was a play where there was a loose ball in transition, and all the players were around midcourt, and the Magic picked up a loose ball and took off the other direction.
Yeah.
And I saw Jaren, around half court, have to stop, turn, go back the other way, full speed. And when that happened, I was thinking, that's a play where you could hurt your hamstring. That's where you see guys, immediately pull up and, and he didn't. He was fine. He, took off. But I was thinking, there's lots of plays like that in an NBA game where there's a chance for something to happen if you're not at full strength. And the last thing you want is for Jaren to tweak that thing again.
For sure.
be out for another month or whatever it is. So I understand the minute thing. There were some littler things in the midst of that. Like, he was supposed to come in the game with like 4 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and then he ended up standing on the sideline for like 2 minutes because there was no stoppage of play.
Yeah, and that was the one that we talked about yesterday. I mean, I think like if there was any big gripe from that game, it was you just got to get you're reeling at that point with like I think it was like 7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Like they are just running off on you. You got to get Jaron or Marcus back in the game because you just can't get a stop.
I understand. I also understand like coaches want to save timeouts, all that stuff.
For sure.
Grizzlies had 2 team fouls with 4 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. The Bulls, and that's happened against Orlando and the Bulls. At the start of the fourth quarter, both opposing teams picked up 4 fouls right away. And like basically the Grizzlies were in the bonus against Orlando the whole fourth quarter, and the game was tighter, but it was helpful because the Grizzlies could just get to the basket and try to get to the line. The Bulls got 4 fouls like in the first 2 minutes of the fourth quarter in that game too, and I thought, oh, good. Well, the Grizzlies are going to have this situation where they're going to go to the line a lot, and it's going to be helpful. But the Grizzlies had 2 team fouls when Jaron went to the table to check in. And if you don't want to use a timeout, all right, I get that. Foul somebody.
Burn a foul,
Yeah. I mean, you're still not in the bonus. You're not close to being in the bonus. You're going to get to the last 2 minutes probably without using that foul. Like, get him in the game. Just figure out a way. Throw the ball off someone's leg out of bounds. There's got to be a way to stop the clock.
Yeah.
And the Bulls definitely were not trying to stop the clock. The Bulls, they were like, we're not taking a timeout. We are just going to play this thing through. So it was a tough night.
It was weird. Yeah. Obviously, looking ahead to tonight, we don't know if Ja's going to play or not. He's questionable. Edey popped up on the injury report yesterday as well. He's questionable, I believe.
Conchar is moved up from doubtful to questionable.
Yeah, so those 3, Zach Edey with right calf soreness, John Conchar with right posterior tibial tendinitis.
I don't know. For what it's worth, I saw Edey and Conchar going through shooting drills after practice yesterday and running around. And, I guess it's more like they're able to do that, but how's the soreness afterwards?
Where's your tibia? I know. I'm not good at that.
That's a dangerous question.
I know.
I think it's in my leg.
Posterior tibial tendinitis.
Yeah.
Is that your butt?
No.
That's your glute. Your glute is your butt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
1 glute equals 2 butts.
Yeah.
No.
And then Ja's still got thigh soreness.
Yeah, Ja's still the thigh soreness.
I still think, though, and I know that, again, it's super early in the season. Bad teams beat good teams this time of year every single NBA season. The Nets coming to town, second night of a back-to-back, feels like one of those that even if Ja didn't play, you should still be able to get a win.
Well, I watched the Nets game last night.
Okay.
Because I was doing my homework.
Why?
Doing my homework.
Yeah, you're doing your homework. We got to play them tonight. Yeah, of course.
We're playing them tonight.
Yes.
And I host the warm-up show, one of the newest offerings from Grind City Media, live on the court, 6 o'clock on game nights, home game nights.
We will be there.
So I had to do a little research, and the Nets are playing the Nuggets, who've kind of had a tough start to the season. So I kind of wanted to see them too. Also, like, what was the other option last night on two? The World Series was about it, right?
Yeah, and it was over pretty quickly.
Yeah, I flipped over there.
I guess it was
like 4-2 or something.
It was pretty good for a while, yeah.
Anyway, I flipped over, and the Nets Nuggets game was close in the second half, and it actually ended up going to overtime, which I was thinking as a Grizzlies fan, I was rooting for overtime because I wanted the Nets to be worn out by the time they get to the game. The Nets had no Ben Simmons last night, which they've had that a lot the last few years.
Right.
Nick Claxton was great for them, but he's out tonight. Ben Simmons.
That's big.
Ben Simmons is going to play tonight.
I would rather play against Ben Simmons than Nick Claxton.
Too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But they weren't really they weren't taking a ton of threes last night. I looked at the stats. They ended up shooting 50, but that was because it went to overtime. Cam Thomas, if that guy gets the ball, he's going to shoot it, unless the shot clock gets down to 2, and then he'll throw someone a grenade. But Cam Thomas was getting some shots up last night in that game. Ended up their leading scorer with 26 points. Dennis Schroeder had 28. Cam Thomas had 22 shot attempts, though, in 38 minutes. 1 for 8 from 3. Schroeder played really well. Thomas played pretty well. But the the Nets don't have a ton of quality depth. Zaire had a big game for them last night. His
He's
best
had a good
game
start to the
Nugget.
season. Yeah.
Zaire had 18 off the bench in 22 minutes. He was 7 for 8 from the field. And played pretty well. And after the game, he talked about how Anthony Carter, Grizzlies assistant coach, helped kind of clean up his jump shot while he was here and saved his jump shot, I think was the term he used. So big game from Zaire last night.
Yeah, I like Zaire. I'm a fan of Zaire's. that would be painful for him to have a big game tonight.
Well, it could be the revenge game.
In the Grizzlies to lose. Yes, that cannot happen.
Yeah.
Just because, like, even if that did happen, it would be so silly for Grizzlies fans to say, you know, we should have gotten rid of Zaire. We shouldn't have moved on from Zaire. But you will see a lot of that. Trust me. If that happens tonight, you'll see the revisionist history.
Somebody in the chat here, well, they're all talking about how I sound like I need a edible. But people in the chat are saying that, talking about the way that the Grizzlies, Marcus Smart minutes, he ended up in that game the other night 0 for, I think, 10 from the field. Didn't make a jump shot, but he was plus 17 in the plus minus.
That's the thing.
And like he makes
the way he
winning
affects
plays.
games, yes.
And he actually talked about it yesterday at practice. He was like, do you remember last season? I had those couple games where I couldn't hit a shot to start the season. And he was like, then we went on that road trip to LA and I got hot. And he goes, it's sort of the same way I feel
and
this
year. And then he
year.
had the finger injury, was out. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was like, he goes, I feel like I'm fine. He goes, I can't control if the shot's going to go in or not. I just can control everything else and getting prepared and being ready for it. So Marcus sounded like it was kind of cool to have like that voice around yesterday, like that kind of veteran guy who in this situation doesn't panic, doesn't freak out. And he's like, we're going to be all right. We're going to figure it out.
Yeah. I'm obviously a huge Marcus Smart fan.
Yeah.
I was so stoked when the Grizzlies went out and got him. And yeah, that was tough to watch the other night. But like you said, that dude, like if that was Dylan Brooks, he would have been minus 15, right?
Yeah.
If he was shooting like that, I'm just speaking the truth here.
Well,
Marcus Smart affects the game in different ways.
He also he gets respect from the officials in a way that we haven't had a guy get respect like that in a long time, where he can make plays on the ball and stuff and doesn't get called for a foul on the little touchy things.
That's a good point.
You know?
Like, yeah, if you watch like during timeouts, every
he's so
timeout,
good
the
at working
first
the
thing he
refs.
does is go over to the official.
And
every single timeout.
And he calmly speaks to them, laughs at them, puts an arm around them. You know, he knows how to work a referee.
Yes.
He's awesome at that. And we've had guys in the past who were not so great at that. And I think Marcus, that's one of his strengths. But the referees respect him. They know he's a defensive player of the year. They know he's not, so he doesn't get called for those little ticky-tacky things, and he's able to stay on the floor and able to make plays and be involved in things. And I think, even if he's not shooting the ball well like the other night, that's valuable. He brings value to your team. And I think also like just those numbers we were talking about with him and Jaren, and I think it was with Brandon Clark also, together on the floor, the Grizzlies are like plus 40 so far this season. They've been awesome with the three of them together on the floor. Maybe there's a way you figure out get the three of them on the floor to third quarter.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I would guess tonight, third quarter, maybe we see some different lineups. Taylor Jenkins talked a lot about how it wasn't just a strategy thing. It's an adjustment they've got to make in terms of like effort. And he was like, we're coming out flat and we're not bringing the energy in this third quarter. So we got to get that cleaned up.
I will be shocked if they have a bad third quarter tonight. I will be.
I don't know if I would be.
I would be against a team like this
on the second half of a back-to-back. But here's the thing: a lot of times, second half of back-to-back, some teams come out fired up. Like it's just
true.
It's counterintuitive. But the Grizzlies were on the second half of a back-to-back on the home opener against the Orlando the other night, and the Grizzlies came out on fire to start that game. And maybe that was the crowd, maybe that was just being the home opener, that kind of thing. But that was two teams on the second half of a back-to-back, and Orlando looked flat. The Grizzlies looked fired up. So tonight, I guess we'll see what third quarter Grizzlies team we get to see, and hopefully it's the one that has a little more something than they had the other night. So, all right, we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back with Michael Wallace from Grind City Media. Mike just wrote a column about all this stuff, so we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about all the other storylines heading into tonight's game. You're watching the Gary Parrish Show here on Grind City Media.
3 big beats this week. One was root for points in honor of John Roser. How about that Miami-Louisville game?
Good
crushed
grief.
the over, which was 60. Finished with 97 total points, 52-45. Meanwhile, the academies covering again, both Army and Navy, getting the job done.
This.
Army, best start since 96.
America.
Navy crushed Charlotte. They're ranked 23rd and 24th in the country.
The Odds Couple, live at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Yellow laces, really bright yellow primary color. You got black on the trim and on the edges, and you got some red there as well. Look at that right there, Mike. Look at that right there.
Man, look at that G. Look at that G, boy.
That G is moving strong right there, too, man.
Get all of your HBCU sports and culture news by tuning in to HBCU Huddle with CJ Hurt and Mike Wallace. New episodes drop every Thursday on grindcitymedia.com, YouTube, and Spotify.
When it's all on the line, you turn to the strong, the stable, the unwavering. To those with a history of raising their performance to meet the moment. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st. And you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
Justin Timberlake. The Forget Tomorrow World Tour. Live in Memphis. Justin Timberlake. FedEx Forum, Saturday, November 23rd. Get tickets now at livenation.com. The brand new single Selfish is available to stream and download now. For more, hit up justintimberlake.com.
Welcome back to the Gary Parrish Show here on Grind City Media. I'm Lang Whitaker sitting in for GP. Ben Adol is here, and joining, as always, on Wednesdays, Michael Wallace from Grind City Media here in the studio. How are you?
Yes, good, man. Busy day. Man, I can't get away from you. I can't shake you, man. Every time I show up,
I got a lot of camera time together.
I'm always on your right side.
Absolutely. Good
Michael's on the warm-up show with us every night before the games. But we spent the first block here talking about the story going around about Grizzlies' third quarter struggles. That's been tough, and you wrote about it today for Grind City Media. How do we fix it, Mike? What do we do?
I think if you got to avoid all the illegal things you can inject the players with at halftime, right? You can't do that. I think it's just a matter of coming out understanding that what you did in the first half, because as I say in the piece that's up at Grind City Media right now, for you to be up 20, you had to do some things well. For you to blow a 20-point lead, that means you had to be up by 20. And the Grizzlies have been in that situation time and time again, unfortunately. And the third quarters, for whatever reason, has been a struggle. The starters aren't coming out with the same kind of energy. The bench usually takes a while. The adjustments in Taylor Jenkins in the rotation is a step slow or step off. Yeah. And then by that time, an NBA team can catch fire. And we saw it happen with all three teams in a row. We saw it happen, in Houston with Orlando, and then on Monday with Chicago. The Grizzlies are being outscored 149 to 103 in the third quarter. Wow. They have the second worst third quarter defensive rating in the NBA. Second worst. And these are all small sample sizes, right? Because it's only 4 games. But I subscribe to what Desmond Bain said when he was like, listen, we're only 4 games and 1 week into the season. Yeah. Everybody calm down. Yeah, we'll get it right.
The other night was a magnetic schedule night at the game. Yes. And when I got home, I put it on my refrigerator, which we always do as a family to keep track of it. Mm-hmm. And I stuck it up there, and my finger was on the game we just played. And I looked, and there was like so many games left. And I was like, oh, wait, this is still so early in the season. Yeah. But doesn't mean we could be 4-0 right now. The Grizzlies I think they've had a lead in every game this season. And they've had a chance in all these games, but blowing
double-digit lead in every game.
Blowing these two games in the third quarter. And then, they basically blew it against Orlando too, but managed to win the game by going away also. Yeah, I don't know. I was at practice yesterday, and I told Bennett we were in the hallway beforehand. We're in the atrium waiting for them to let us in, and you could hear them getting after it.
Yeah.
But I thought like it was sort of one of the signs was that they actually had practice yesterday.
Yeah.
And, we know this team like trying to work in days off and trying to manage
injuries and
workload
everything.
Injuries and
yeah.
The fact that they had a full-on practice in the middle of 3 games in 4 days.
Nights. Yep. And 6 and 9. And I mean, that you could tell when Taylor Jenkins went to the podium the other night that he was ticked off.
Yeah.
Like he used words that
atrocious.
When he says atrocious,
non-existent, piss poor.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just he was just using words like he used punk the other day, and I'm like, damn, it's pretty early in the season to be going that deep in your bag, in your frustration bag. But that tells you like the intensity that is around this team and the expectation that's there for this season. They can't take anything for granted.
Yeah.
Now, I say this, it's only 4 games, but I do say that the first 20 games of this season are going to be crucial for the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
And that's the way that they're approaching it. And for them to have practice with all of this going on, they need to iron out some things, and that was a good sign.
Do you think we see a Zaire Williams revenge game tonight?
He almost tried to blow it last night, right? He had 13 in the first half. The Nets put up 72 on Brooklyn on the Nuggets in the first half, and then lost it at the end, right, in overtime. So Zaire had 18 last night. I think he's going to come in and try to prove a point.
Yeah.
But and he's coming in at a position where the Grizzlies don't have a lot of depth either.
That's true.
So he's going to be going up against guys. Yeah, he's going to be going up against guys he was in front of in the rotation pecking order. So I think he can have a good game, but he's not going to win it for him. I think it'll have to be. The Grizzlies, I think, should win this game. The Nets are a team that is young. They don't have a lot of things going for them. They give up a lot of points. They turn the ball over. They're scrappy.
They're on the second half of a back-to-back. Claxton's out tonight. Nick Claxton's not going to play. Ben Simmons is going to play, but he's not going to drop 30 on you.
Yeah, he slows their tempo down, as a matter of fact. But Cam Thomas is a guy that can give you 30, 35.
If Cam Thomas gets the ball, it's going up. I watched that game last night because I wanted to see the Nets in advance. Yes, and I was like, oh, this dude is not passing the ball. Unless there's like 3 seconds on the shot clock and he doesn't have a shot.
Yeah.
But he took 22 shots. He was, I think, 8 for 22 or something.
He finished
like
with 26 or 28, somewhere around there. He didn't take the shot that could have won it because they didn't shoot or didn't throw it to him.
They left Dorian Finney-Smith wide open, and he blew it too, and then he missed the free throw too. I don't know. Otherwise, this season, Zach Edey's been a big point of conversation early on. He's now questionable for tonight with some calf soreness.
That's never a good thing though. Because you don't want that to become a strain and then it becomes an Achilles, compromise type position. I'm not saying it's to that point, but these are some things that, these little bumps and bruises when you're playing at that pace with this many games, this is why, and people, some people have been critical of the rotation. This is why Taylor is playing everybody he can and is spreading out the minutes, because this workload at this pace this early in the season is asking a lot of guys. And so I don't mind that, but you don't want to see that injury report start to build up. And we're starting to see that. Jai's questionable. Zach Edey's questionable. It was one other questionable up there. Conchar. And that's good because he's now trending back towards returning.
He's moved off doubtful to questionable. I saw Conchar and Edey shooting after practice yesterday and running around out there, and they both looked okay. I guess it's more like how they react to practice. How they respond. Afterwards.
And then it's a back-to-back too. So you're going to see some guys that play tonight that won't play tomorrow night, from that standpoint, just because you got to manage that. But the larger question you were asking about was Zach Edey in terms of how he's fit in, and it hasn't been an easy fit. I thought, but we saw this in the 5 preseason games too, right? Like initially it was, Zach Edey, he had the quick foul trouble against Dallas. Then they kind of went away from him, and then when they got to that 3rd and 4th game, he was phenomenal against Chicago and Indiana. And I think sometimes he can be forgotten when you're playing so fast and you have so many guys you're trying to mix in.
One thing before we get to that, talking about guys being forgotten, I mean, the Grizzlies' best player this season has been Desmond Bane. Don't you think? I mean, most consistent. He's been on the court.
He's averaging more. He's like 30 minutes a game. I would lean more towards, Jay Huff in that situation. You know what I'm saying?
He did get the deal. He did get the deal.
He's a big guy like I am, and we lean more.
Yeah, he
big
got that
guys
deal for a
kind of lean
reason.
towards Jay Huff a little
Speaking
bit.
of former Grizzlies, though, Jay Huff mentioned that he loved Drew Gooden's beard. He said,
Oh, yeah,
remember Drew Gooden?
yeah.
He has an awesome beard, too.
Okay, it's an homage.
Yeah.
I like it. Hey, speaking of Ja, he's obviously questionable, like you said tonight. Do you think we see him tonight? You think we see him tomorrow night? You think we see him both nights? You think we see him neither night?
I think we see him one of the two nights.
Yeah.
Right. I think, I kind of thought that he would play Monday, take Wednesday off, and then play Thursday. But I think we split it. I think, especially if this thing is lingering and it really is a nagging thigh injury, I don't think you push it through both. So I kind of say that now that he's upgraded, because he wasn't even, was he questionable last game? Was he questionable Monday? Yeah, he was questionable Monday and didn't play. That's rare. You normally don't see a questionable from the Grizzlies go to a not available.
Right.
So I think he splits the two. I got to see where he how he comes out, in the warm-ups and then go from there.
Because we play Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Monday.
Yeah.
Wednesday again. So
add that up, Bennett. That's how many more in
Oh my God!
That's five games.
Do that to
five
me.
games in a week.
5 and 8
What
again.
was it? 6 and 9 nights.
6 and 9
Yeah.
that ends on Thursday.
And now it's
Got
5
it.
in the next 8.
It's 5. So it's
Jeez,
non. It just goes on and on. And
I wanted
on.
to ask you, Mike, because you covered the Miami Heat for so long, and we talked about it on the warm-up show. The Dwayne Wade statue. What was your reaction when you saw it?
My reaction when I saw it and how they unveiled it, I knew the pose, right? I remembered the pose.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, they went, because, you don't think that's a basketball pose, right? Like Kareem's in LA is the sky hook, right?
Yeah.
Magic is the pointing and with the assist.
Shaq's hanging on the rim.
Shaq's hanging on the rim. I can't remember Kobe, but I do know, and this goes back to Dwayne's. Kobe, they unveiled it. Then they covered it back up and did some touch-ups to it.
Yeah.
Because Vanessa wasn't necessarily happy with it, right? I think we might see that with Dwayne. Because
He says he's happy with it.
he says he gets the criticism. He worries about it, but then he doesn't worry about it.
Yeah.
The facial thing is where everybody's
By the
finding
facial
the
thing,
issue.
you mean how it doesn't look like his face?
It's tough, man. It's tough. It's
I get
tough.
it.
It's tough.
I
It's tough,
actually,
man. Because if you go back to all of the busts from the NFL, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, that's like a 50% hit rate on those. And it's tough to get somebody's image
I actually
to that
interviewed
point.
the people who do the statues for the Lakers, and it's the same people, I think.
Okay.
I interviewed a man and a woman. I don't remember their names. I interviewed them like 10 years ago for NBA.com when they were doing the Shaq statue.
Yeah.
And they talked about how like it's sort of this dying art form, right? Like nobody makes statues anymore.
True.
Whereas
True.
1,000 years ago, now there's all these statues left over all over Europe of all this
true.
stuff. But now nobody makes statues. Like who makes life-size statues of people?
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of people left doing this. I was like, I just think we should 3D print this thing. Like, why can't we just scan it and 3D print it and make it look exactly like the person?
So you know what's crazy is like when me and GP were talking about this, like, okay, so I've been to when we go to Baltimore and Camden Yards is right across from M&T Bank. They got the big Ray Lewis statue. It looks great. It looks just like him. The Jordan statue in front of the Bulls Arena. It looks just like him. Like it's I think we're just picking the wrong sculptors here, man.
But see, I think
we need to designate one for all sports.
That one is like the Dwayne Wade one is tough. Like the Ray Lewis one, it's a football.
It's
move
him doing
he's
that.
making. Yeah. But that one is more like a I'm not going to defend it, yo.
Don't you think
that face is not it?
That's Han Solo in the Carbonite, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I saw someone post a picture of it. Yeah,
but they got everything else absolutely right though. The attention to detail, the catching him as he was pointing
the uniform
down to
looks good.
Everything looks great, man, except for the facial features. I think the jaws are just too wide. I can deal with the up, like the nose up.
Yeah.
But it's just a nose down.
Well, I think it's the
jaws.
Beard makes the face look bigger than
Wider.
it is.
Yeah,
because you can't tell the beard from the face really from this far away from it.
Yeah. It's tough, man. But as I told you the other night on the warm-up show, man, like when you have a statue built for you, like I have a hard time because I know Dwayne and I know his family and I know how much that
and you
meant
know
to
that
him.
organization.
It's hard to kind of be critical. Like I felt bad because like his kids are going on social media and seeing people ripping the statue, and that's like, man, that's my dad, So I feel for that, but it's not like, as you told me the other night, it's not about them going after Dwayne. It's the people who made the statue. Yeah. So
and what he meant to the organization and in that franchise. Like think about all the players who've come through there and all the big names and everything else. Like to be the guy who gets the statue that.
And the street
says something
named after
amazing,
you,
yeah.
you know, Dwayne Wade Boulevard. They already renamed the county. They dedicated parts of the county as Wade County from Dade County.
Yeah.
And all of that. So, yeah, I mean, it was some iconic guys that have come through there.
We did
they won
a,
3 championships, and he was there for all 3
We
of them.
did a Slam photo shoot with Dwayne Wade when I was at Slam, and he was in uniform, and we had the idea of, like, let's try to take some pictures with the water because Biscayne Bay is right behind it.
Yeah.
So we were like, let's try to do it with the water behind it. So we were on the practice court. We went down into the parking garage. It was me, Dwayne, the photographer, and one of the PR guys. We walked through the parking garage, and there was like a hole in the fence, and we all climbed through this hole in the fence and walked out to the back.
Yeah.
And there was a little playground over there. There's a bunch of kids playing basketball. And imagine their surprise where, like, Dwayne Wade in a full uniform comes walking out of the thing.
Yeah.
And they all go crazy and run over and, like, you know, he signed autographs and everything.
Cool.
And then they walk back. But Dwayne was always so cool to us, and it was just cool. So I'm glad for him to have this moment.
That little, and you know, that's an odd place for a park because it's right underneath the causeway.
Yeah.
And it's like where the cruise ships.
Oh,
like
yeah.
dock.
Okay.
And it's like a park right down there, right?
Yeah.
And it's a full court basketball court. It's pretty cool. But yeah, that sounds just like a Dwayne Wade moment.
Go ahead.
Well, we obviously got to get through the Nets tonight. Milwaukee's in town tomorrow night. They're 1-3 to start the season.
Yeah,
and like, you've seen some stuff out there about the relationship between Giannis and Dame Lillard. I saw the quote from Dame was, "We got to be able to hold each other accountable."
Yeah.
They didn't make a lot of moves in the offseason. Do you think that maybe that window is starting to close on them as far as being a contender in the East?
Starting to close.
Yeah, I mean, is it closed?
No, I don't think it's closed when you have one of the best players in the game, a top 5 players in the game, right? Dame is aging, and he's not as consistently night in, night out impactful as he needs to be. But what's hurting that team is that Lopez got old fast.
Yeah.
Right?
He's
From a
been in the
defensive
league forever,
perspective, But also Chris Middleton just can't get healthy. That team needed Middleton to be special when they won a championship.
That's your third scorer.
Yes. That's your third scorer.
Yeah.
And then they let Drew Holiday go.
Yeah,
and
that
he
kills
proved
them.
to be So when you don't have a Middleton can't get healthy, and Holiday is not there to kind of stabilize everything from a defense and an offense and an organization skill set, you're struggling. So I don't think that this team is going to overwhelm you with talent with Dame and Giannis. So they're vulnerable. They're definitely vulnerable.
Yeah.
And then Doc Rivers makes the whole situation combustible, you know, because he brings the attention to that team because of things he says and the way he coaches them. And, you know, it's just Giannis is a passive-aggressive guy who leaks stuff out to the media when he's unhappy.
Yes, he does.
And Dame Lillard has his guys that he goes to, and he's on record
the same
saying
way,
things. Yeah. So he's less passive-aggressive, but he's more direct when it comes to it.
Dame's always been, like, about Dame, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's how it's kind of been. And if he finds slights and that motivates him, and, you know, maybe even perceived slights, not real slights, just things he finds and can use for motivation and gets him going.
Yep.
And I don't know, like, if maybe before it was sort of a perceived slight, now it might be a little more accurate to criticize him on different things. If you look at it, like, the Bucks have given up at least 109 points every game this season. In the last 3 games, they gave up 133 to the Bulls, 115 to the Nets, and then 120 to the Celtics. 119 to the Celtics Monday night. So they've been struggling, but they've had 3 days off coming into this game against the Grizzlies.
They're here waiting to play the Grizzlies.
Wow, I didn't know.
They haven't played since Monday, and the Grizzlies are going to have played 2 games in the time that they've played.
My favorite, one of my favorite quotes of the offseason was Giannis, like the reverse psychology, saying that, hey, if I'm not good this year, they're going to want to trade me.
And then he'll be able to be like, see, I told you. I guess they better trade me. Although he's been good this year. He had 38 in one game this year. He had 20 plus in another one. Like, he's been pretty good.
That's the thing. Like, Giannis, to me, in they go about it differently, but I see the same kind of mannerisms, is that how they kind of influence their organizations. He does it a lot like LeBron in a way.
Yeah.
Like, you're never going to be able to blame Giannis for Milwaukee not doing what they need to do. Because his numbers are always going to be there. He's always going to show up. He rarely gets hurt. And he's going to come across like, hey, you know, just give me some help.
He's put in the work. Like, we've seen him get better throughout his career. He's averaging 28-8. He's averaging basically 29 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists a game, shooting 62% from the field.
What else can you ask?
Yeah.
You know, what else can you ask from a guy like that? He has a ring. They won a ring, so he's not chasing that. But he's still young enough to have one more push.
Oh, yeah.
And you wonder, I don't know if it would be catastrophic for him to leave Milwaukee.
He turns 30 in December.
Yeah. It would be catastrophic for him to leave Milwaukee. It'll almost be like when Kevin Durant left Oklahoma City.
Or KG leaving Minnesota, maybe. But they never won a title in Minnesota.
Right,
he won the title.
He won a title there. Yeah. That's a good point. That's a great point.
I don't know. All right. Well, we were all. This has been a busy week for the Grizzlies. It's been a busy week for all of us too. It's a hump day. We're trying to get over this Wednesday, and after today, it's all downhill. So
no, it ain't. It's a game tomorrow. It's a game Thursday. You just said it. Game Thursday. Game Saturday. Game Monday. Game. And then game Wednesday.
Are you going on the road this weekend?
I am. I'm going to the Philly, Brooklyn.
All right.
So we say, we play Brooklyn twice in a stretch of 5 games. So.
And Roser's sitting in for you tonight on the warm-up show.
Yes.
And then you'll be back with me tomorrow night.
Our rotation is deep, man.
Yeah, we're good.
Our rotation is deep. Bennett will be on the radio call. I heard him, and Roser on the post-game radio call too. Bennett's here today. We
got a special guest on the warm-up show tonight. Former Grind City Media host Megan Triplett is going to join us tonight on the warm-up show. She just texted me, so we're good. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back here on the Gary Parrish Show here on Grind City Media.
Dinosaur draft.
Give me Littlefoot.
Littlefoot's a great pick in your alternate reality. In your fake dinosaur draft, because you don't believe in real dinosaurs. Give me a velociraptor. It's so cute and so scary.
That's not a real velociraptor.
That's not a chicken.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Deadpool and Wolverine. Stream November 12th on Disney+.
That's the whole package right there.
It's the biggest R-rated film of all time.
Come again?
It's action-packed.
Us? A team? Next level.
Glorious fun. Marvel's biggest triumph.
This is what I'm talking about.
Hilarious.
Something funny, Bub.
And verified hot on Rotten Tomatoes.
You really are God's perfect idiot, aren't you?
Deadpool and Wolverine. Streaming November 12th on Disney+.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GVWR.
At Southland Casino Hotel, it's time to work hard, play hard with our $500,000 giveaway. Earn entries October through November 9th and take home free play and amazing prizes on select Saturdays, including a big rig. Stay connected on social media for weekly drawing clues. Join us November 9th for the grand finale drawing where you could drive off in a four-wheeler, side-by-side, or big rig. Work hard and play harder at Southland Casino Hotel. Must be 21 plus. Play responsibly. For help quitting, call 800-522-4700.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing compares to catching your Grizzlies IRL. And that all starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight. Put that jersey collection to use for the next game and get Grizzlies tickets at Ticketmaster. Whether they're here at FedEx Forum or on the road, Ticketmaster's got your back when it comes to scoring tickets. And there's no better brag than saying you saw it live.
Orthopedic injuries can be unpredictable, unforeseen, and unscheduled, and Ortho South understands this better than anyone. Since injuries don't make appointments, you don't need to either. Ortho South welcomes walk-ins during the weekdays, on evenings, and even on Saturdays. So next time an unforeseen injury makes an unscheduled appearance in your life, visit orthosouth.org to find your nearest urgent care location. Just walk in, and Ortho South, they'll take care of everything, especially you. You can learn more at orthosouth.org. That's orthosouth at orthosouth.org.
Welcome back to the Gary Parrish Show here on Grind City Media. I'm Lane Whitaker sitting in for GP. Bennett's here. And we're going to get into our 5 things you need to know about.
Number 1.
World Series is in full swing, and we haven't mentioned it at all.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think if the Dodgers would have won last night, we probably would have opened on it. Yeah, when a champion's crowned, you got to lead with it.
Especially if you sweep. Like, yes. If you sweep and win 2 games in the Bronx. But the Dodgers didn't win last night. the Yankees have struggled. I thought the Yankees were going to win this thing, and they looked pretty bad those first 3 games. Finally, last night, the bats got going a little bit for them, and the Dodgers showed a little bit of weakness in there, and the Yankees got the win. And they go again tonight, I believe, Game 5, tonight in the Bronx. So the Yankees are now down 3-1. And the manager of the Yankees is Aaron Boone, who was part of one of the great 3-1 collapses in the past when he was on the Yankees when they lost to the Red Sox.
Right, he was.
I was living in New York when that happened, when the Yankees lost the 3-1 thing. And I remember, like, I was watching an NBA game, and I was sitting on my couch, and I had the window open because it's like October, it's nice, on the Upper West Side. I was sitting there watching the game, and all of a sudden I hear from, like, bars all the way down Columbus, like, this huge eruption of cheers. And I was like, what happened? I flipped over, and the home run had happened, and the Yankees had come back from the 3-1 thing. But I don't know. You think the Yankees have a chance in this?
No. I mean, the only thing that I would say is, Ohtani's he's a little banged up, but I don't even think that matters.
I wonder how banged up he is.
Right. I don't even know if that really matters for the Dodgers. I just think they're that much better. Now, the next one's going to be in New York, right? Like it goes.
I think it's 2-3-2.
2-3-2, yeah. So, I mean,
I think it's tonight.
Yeah, if they get this one tonight, then I think it's interesting. But I still think the Dodgers are going to win the thing.
Let's see. Tonight, Dodgers. Dodgers at Yankees. Dodgers are favored. Oh, Yankees are favored, -150. Jack Flaherty against Garrett Cole. It's a good matchup.
That's a really good matchup.
Flaherty's 1-2 in the postseason. Cole's 1-0. Flaherty has a 6.1 ERA in the postseason, and Cole's 2.82.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I'll have it pulled up for sure during the game tonight. And I believe Freddie Freeman hit another home run. By the way, we have it. Let's see. Let's look at the Freddie Freeman home run. His 6th of the World Series. Your 6th consecutive.
Why are you rubbing this in on me?
I know. That's why I pulled it up. Can we check out the Freddie Freeman home run?
Huge. Freeman cracks one deep to right field. And gone
Short
again.
Porch. In most stadiums, that would not be a home run.
Freeman floating in the World Series.
Homered in 6 consecutive World Series games.
You gotta be kidding.
I mean, look, I've had a lot of people ask me how I feel about Freddie Freeman.
Yeah.
Because he's a Braves legend, and I'm a Braves fan. And they were like, how do you feel about Freddie Freeman? I was like, first of all, he's a traitor. Second of all, he doesn't even want to be on the Dodgers. You remember, like, when the contract thing happened, the Braves offered him a big contract. His agents declined it. Freddie Freeman was surprised by all this, so the Braves immediately just traded for Matt Olson, signed him to the biggest contract the Braves had ever signed anybody to. And Freddie Freeman cried several times. They came back to Atlanta on the field in tears, got rid of his agents after that whole thing. And then since then seems to have settled in LA. And, he was from California, so like nobody was that surprised. He ended up going to the Dodgers. But I think it was a hard adjustment for him to make. And as a Braves fan, like I'm still bitter about it. I'm still a little salty.
The moment of the night, though, was the fan interference.
So if you watch this play in regular speed, to me, like, it doesn't seem that odd. It looks like Betts is just trying to, like, get a ball and he hits the crowd, and that's what happens. When you watch it in slow motion, that's where things get kind of squirrely.
Yeah, we got the video. Let's look at it.
See, like, this way just looks like, hey.
Yeah, you didn't think anything of it.
Wait, I had it up. No, what? But then in slow motion, you're like, oh my gosh, what in the world?
Fan interference. So an out.
Look at these guys.
One gone in this first. It's the second time.
Yeah, I think it's going to show that
has ended up in fan interference in this series.
Okay, here we go.
Home run turned into a double back at Dodger Stadium. And Betts has that
the one guy who looks like,
dude, what are you doing?
He looks like Babe Ruth. And the other guy grabs the hand.
Okay.
A for effort.
Well, he won't be watching the game much longer.
No, he will not. How much money do you think he paid for those seats?
Just from a TV, going to be watching on the TV.
Well, I know, like, I mean, realistically, probably $1,500, $2,000, right? Like, because I know the tickets were like through the roof.
So you're obviously a diehard Yankees fan to buy tickets to that, go see them in the World Series.
Look at the way those guys are dressed.
You're never going to be able to see the Yankees in person again, or at least not in that stadium.
And maybe just not that close.
What I mean,
they'll just make him sit in the upper deck or something.
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, the thing, it's funny though, like, how do you police that? Like, I'm sure you have pictures up that's like, don't allow this person in the game. And
yeah. Well, the other day there was the play in the outfield where the guy reached over and caught the ball before it was a double. I mean, I thought back to what was the guy's name? Jeffrey, whatever, who reached over the wall in right field when the Yankees were playing the Orioles, right?
Yeah.
Who was it? The Yankees, Orioles, and the outfielder was the right fielder was trying to catch the ball.
Yeah, I can't remember.
And the kid reached over the fence and caught Tony Tarasco was the outfielder.
Right. That's right.
That's one of those things. Like that's one of those. That's like a meme right there.
Memory, yeah.
I just pulled the name of Tony Tarasco.
Say, dude, good God, that's
but
impressive.
the kid was Jeffrey, somebody who reached over the wall and caught the ball, and there was a whole thing with that. Like that's just part of baseball, right? Like stuff happens.
Yeah.
Although that looked like a Saturday Night Live skit. The way that happened, like in regular speed, you watch it, and you're like, oh, then in slow motion, like. Grabs the glove, pulls it open. The other guy grabs the off arm.
Yeah.
Like there's just a lot going on there. Like that feels like that might be a skit on SNL this week. But
someone in the chat says that apparently they're season ticket holders and are going to be back for Game 5. No way. No way.
Why not?
If you're the Dodgers, I'm sure you're like.
Jeffrey Meyer was the kid.
The guy who pulled open the glove?
No.
Oh, the kid in the Orioles-Yankees game?
Yeah, when Derek Jeter hit the ball.
Yeah.
28 years ago.
Man.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to see if the New York Post has some stories about this. A Dodgers fan was over. No, that was the one in LA when the kid did it. The one in New York, I don't know. I don't see, like, I guess they banned the fans, but like, it's not like the guy like jumped over the wall or anything.
Yeah, but dude, he's holding on to Mookie Betts' arm. Like I mean, you cannot do that.
And the other guy grabs
I can understand. I can even understand like if you kind of like swatted his glove, like when it's like in your lap.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's pulling on his arm and his glove, I just don't know how you overcome that.
The guy, he looked like Tim Robinson too, from the Netflix shows.
I think he should leave.
Yeah,
he does look just like him. Yes, holy crap!
And then
he
you
looked
got
just like him.
The two guys with sunglasses on either side of.
Yeah,
like it's like a weird little group. Some boys having a night out, I think, and maybe having.
They got their money's worth.
I think they'd had a long day. It looked like maybe pre-gaming, getting ready for this thing, and then maybe things got a little real for them.
Yeah.
Also, if you're sitting down there, you probably don't suspect anything like that's going to happen, right? You think maybe it might get a foul ball, or you don't think the outfielder is going to actually run up and jump into your lap.
It's like I've never sat front row. I don't think I've ever sat front row of any sporting event. Maybe a Memphis basketball game one time, but I do think that if I was in that situation, I would have a plan in my head, like of what
ahead of time.
Well, yeah, like don't be holding like a beer in your hand,
or are you going to get out of the way?
Don't be holding a beer in your hand when Freddie Freeman's up to bat.
Are you going
to
get out of the way, or are you going to go for it?
Yeah, right. Yeah, am I going for it? Am I going to move? Right.
One time I was front row at a Dallas Mavericks game. The media seats were in the front row baseline of the Dallas stadium. I was sitting in the media seats, front row baseline. This is when Steve Nash was on the Mavericks. Mm-hmm. And I was covering the game, and a ball came flying at my head. Like I'm sitting here with my laptop. The ball comes right at me. And I had a split second to think, like, all right, what am I going to do? And I thought, if I try and catch this, pretty good chance I don't catch it.
Yeah.
And it like something happens. So I just ducked. I ducked down as fast as I could, and then I turned around, and there was a woman crying with her hands over her face behind me, and she didn't duck.
Damn, it's like that lady who got what was it? Not Gerald Green. Was it Gerald Green? Remember the famous one of the lady who's on her phone with the basketball?
Yeah,
and just smashes her in the face. Yeah. Oh my God!
You got to keep your head on a swivel.
Yeah, you definitely do. All right, well,
Speaking of sitting front row at games or sitting close at games, should we talk about Rudy Gay, because you're involved in a famous Rudy Gay moment?
Kind of.
Number 2.
All right, so Rudy Gay. He announced his retirement yesterday. Did a really good piece in the Players Tribune.
Yeah. Grizzlies legend Rudy Gay.
Grizzlies legend Rudy Gay. I'm a big Rudy fan. I know that like the way that it ended here was kind of weird, just in the sense that the fans like wanted to move on because they knew that the team was better without him. But I was always a big fan of Rudy's. And he in that article talks about his time in Memphis and how much he loved it and just how much he loved the city. And I thought that was so cool. Like, again, it got kind of weird there towards the end, but he was here for a long time.
He said, I arrived in Memphis when I was 19. I was so fortunate to be there. One thing about Memphis, those fans, they love to see players. They cheer for out and about town. They really want to see you. You can't be one of those hermit crab type dudes. They need you to be out there with them, walking, eating, running errands. If you can hang in that way, the people will show you more love than you could ever imagine. And he said, I'm no dummy. I know the deal. I get a lot of flack for the Grizzlies having a run of success after trading me. But I can tell you I'm proud of what I contributed toward the rise of that team back then, and I hope everyone there knows how much I loved being a Memphis Grizzly. He says, I enjoyed a bunch of places where I played. Toronto was amazing. Sacramento was a really fun place to play, but there will always be a soft spot in my heart for Memphis.
I love that. I
cool.
love hearing that. Yeah, Rudy was an awesome dude. I got to, like, it's funny, one of my first jobs out of college, I was a manager at a trampoline park. I was a manager at a trampoline. It was called Sky Zone. I don't think it's there anymore. And he brought his family in one day, and he was the coolest dude ever. Like made the time to talk to
Did he stay off
me
the
and the
trampolines?
employees. No, he jumped. And this is when he was.
No.
I know. I don't think this would fly in today's NBA.
We just talked about the Yankees. Remember, Jabba Chamberlain was their incredible reliever, and he broke his leg at a trampoline park.
Yeah. So I don't know if that would fly in today's NBA, but back then it wasn't as. They weren't as worried about it. Right.
Yeah.
And he was awesome, man. He talked to me, talked to our whole staff. He was just super cool. And yeah, I'll always be fond of the time that he was here. But my favorite Rudy Gay memory, and I know a lot of people are going to remember this, it was the first season that LeBron was with the Miami Heat. They came to town. This was the 2010-2011 season, and Rudy hit the game winner over LeBron and the Heat. We got the video. We'll play for you.
Randolph and Mayo as the Grizzlies try to snap a 5-game losing streak and beat the Heat.
I'm actually in this video.
Remember, Miami has a foul to give. Rudy for the win! Yes! 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 Yes!
Let's go. Get the beat off the screen.
You're sitting where?
I'm sitting. Okay, I don't think we can freeze frame it, but you're not even gonna be able to see me. But I'm
do some forensic
I'm
videos.
5 or 6 rows up behind the Miami Heat bench, so you can see my hand. I'll jump up and yell.
You didn't have the big beard back then.
No, I didn't have the big. I don't even know if I had a beard back then.
Maybe we'll see here.
Okay. I'm trying to see if I can see myself.
You gotta be right there.
I see. I'm in a black shirt. There's a guy in a green shirt. I'm right behind him. There's someone standing in the aisle in the blue shirt, and I'm right there in a black shirt next to the guy that's in the aisle in the blue shirt. So you can't see. It's too grainy, but that's me. Damn it. That was a cool moment. That was one of the funnest moments in FedEx Forum history, in my opinion. Outside of the playoffs, that was one of the great regular season moments. You don't have that many game winners.
Yeah.
You know?
Especially shot clock, where the clock hits 0, while the ball's in the air.
Exactly. That was cool.
We used to call it the Ori scale at NBA.com, when you hit a buzzer-beating game winner. Because it doesn't happen that often, but that's pretty cool.
Remember the video, the famous one of him in Toronto, the not Rudy Gay, Gay, man. Yeah.
Did you consider ever interfering with the game when you were sitting down there that close?
No. My dad's had those tickets for a long time. Yeah. He has actually been given once upon a time. I apologize, Dad, for giving your business out there. He got one of those cards one time.
Cards?
Yeah, he got a warning card one time for yelling at it was at the Clippers bench actually. That was back when we really hated the Clippers.
Yeah.
And so he got a little warning card once upon a time for that. So he's interfered once or twice before. I think he's on his best behavior these days.
I know. So Rudy Gay was here last year. Do you remember when they did the Marcus Gasol retirement? He was part of that, and he was on stage. And I know it was one of the first times he'd been back here since everything. And from people I talked to who spoke to him, he talked about some of the stuff he talked about in the article about how he kind of feels like it was a little unfair the way he kind of got painted after all that. The team got better after he left, and it wasn't anything he did, or you know what I mean. And he was kind of I think he felt like he wants to get more involved here and get more kind of connected to this city because he played longer here than he played for anywhere else in his career.
Yeah, so that 2010-11 season, obviously that's the year Rudy got hurt that season.
Yeah.
In fact, he got hurt I think it was maybe a couple months after that game. That game was in November.
Yeah.
But he hurt his shoulder, was out. They went and got Shane Battier, and that was, of course, when they upset the Spurs. They were the 8th seed, beat the number 1 seed San Antonio Spurs. That was like that's probably still, as I look back on it, my favorite Grizzlies season, just because even bigger than the Western Conference Finals season, just because
it was so improbable.
Yeah, it was improbable, and it was really like the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies always had like a nice fan base when they got here. I mean, we got an NBA team in Memphis, right? But that season, man, that was just when the city it was when it became a Grizzlies town. Like it's when people just fell in love with the team. And now, like I've even heard Vernon talk about this. You have people that were younger or were even kids back then that now have kids that they're taking to Grizzlies games. Like it's been that long. And so it's cool to see that season, just like it's always going to have just a special place in so many people's hearts in this city. So that's probably still my favorite season. But yeah, so they win that series this season and lose in the second round to Oklahoma City. He comes back the next season. That was when they lost the 7-game series to the Clippers. That was, of course, when they blew the 25-point lead in the first game of the playoffs, the first home game, when Nick Young hit like 3 3-pointers in a row in under a minute. And then they traded him the next season, and then they had like a lot of success, obviously, in the grit grind era. So
his father, I didn't know this. I learned this on Wikipedia. Rudy Gay's father, Rudy Gay Sr., was the lead singer of the R&B group Ace Spectrum and the band director for the Stylistics.
Okay.
So,
Baltimore family. Rudy's from Baltimore.
Played at UConn College, and then ended up kind of bouncing around after he was here. With Toronto, San Antonio, a couple other places.
But, underrated NBA player for sure. Like
you know what his other legacy is, that nobody's going to get this except like kids under the age of probably 18. In the NBA game 2K, you can choose like the shooting motion for all the players, and you can choose like the release and the base, like the legs. Rudy Gay's base, for whatever reason, is like the most popular among kids.
Really?
Yeah. So like when the Grizz gaming guys were like, when they're making their players and whatever, like Rudy Gay base is like
interesting. Oh, he's like the prototype. Yeah.
He's like for the video game, whatever reason, that base is the easiest one to shoot with. So he still has this legacy that's lasted forever.
Yeah. But also, I don't know why this just popped in my head. The lockout season, he set up it was a basketball game, and he got like KD to come here. I want to say LeBron came. Like he got like some big time names to come here and play in this exhibition game. It was at the Landers Center. And so, yeah, man, I think he's a guy that's well liked around the league. I think that's why he had so much longevity in the league. So, So congrats on retirement.
Great career.
Yeah, great career. Shout out to Rudy.
Number 3.
Moving on to the NFL, couple of news items yesterday that kind of came down, some of them after you guys finished your show yesterday. But I guess the biggest one yesterday was the Colts benching Anthony Richardson, going to Joe Flacco. I don't know if it's going to make that much difference with that Colts team.
Yeah, so as big of a disaster as the Titans are, I would rather have our situation than their situation, because they took him in the first round. Like he was supposed to be their guy of the future. The Will Levis thing, that's just the guy that fell to you in the second round. I think it's easier to move on.
But Richardson, he'd only started 13 games in college.
Yeah.
And he'd had some moments where he looked amazing. The first half against Georgia a couple years ago, he was awesome. And then right before halftime, he had back-to-back like pick sixes and took them completely out of the game. And you were like, oh, okay, well, this guy needs some seasoning. But then he goes pro, and he kills everyone at the pro day. Remember? Like he had like this incredible performance at pro day. And he goes shooting up the draft charts, and everybody's like, oh, wow, you got to get Anthony Richardson. I was always suspicious because I had seen him actually play in college. And I was like, well, I don't know. Same with Will Levis. Like
same thing that people said about him.
You could look at his win-loss, and you're like, all right, well, maybe it's not going to quite, Same with the Sam Howell, North Carolina.
Yeah.
I was like, well, okay, maybe he's got the measurables and stuff, but like, how good was he? Like, how good was his team? And Richardson is now. There was also the thing in the Colts game last week where Richardson asked out of the game. Did you see that? Like during the game?
Yeah, that was not smart on his part. Like to say, I mean, I get it. Like he said, I told coach I was tired.
Yeah.
That you just, even if it's true, you can't say
you
it.
Run the ball into the red zone and then ask out for a play.
Yeah, so it looked promising. You know, he got the shoulder injury last season in the game against the Titans, and he was out for the rest of the season. And he had played pretty well those first couple games, and it was like, oh wow, this dude might be legit. Like and then it just hasn't worked out since then. And they've even said that Flacco's the starter the rest of the season.
Richardson said he needed a break right there. That's when
I mean, you just can't say that.
But I mean, bigger picture, he was 10 for 32 in that game for 175 yards passing. Yeah. I mean, I know he can throw the ball through a brick wall, and you know, we've seen him throw it, 50 yards up in the air and all that stuff, and he can outrun everybody, but he just hasn't won, and he hasn't been able to consistently win, I guess. So I don't know. It's interesting to see what they do.
Colts haven't been the same since Andrew Luck retired. It's just they have still not recovered from that yet. So we'll see.
How much of that's like it's just your quarterback. Like you have to have a competent quarterback. In the NFL.
And they're like, they're probably going to win some games with Flacco. Like
he's competent.
They're not going to get.
He's not great.
They're not going to get the number one pick. So what do you like? The Titans are drafting a quarterback over them in this upcoming draft. So that's a weird spot for them. It's that division. The AFC South is interesting because obviously C.J. Stroud's in Houston for the long term, but we'll see with Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. That's been a disaster this year. I still think Trevor Lawrence is like a decent NFL quarterback. He just turns the ball over too much, but he puts up numbers. So I don't know if his career is necessarily done, but it might be one of those need a change of scenery situations.
I just checked Tankathon for the NFL draft, and right now Carolina's got the 1 pick. Your Titans are number 2. Mm-hmm. And right now the Colts are 14th.
Yeah, that's a bad spot
because they're 4-4. Like, I mean, if they lose out the rest of the way and they finish 4 and 13, like okay,
like you can't come even if you have success going forward this season. Like you're not going to come into next year with Joe Flacco as your starter.
Yeah,
he's 100 years old. Yeah. Like there's no way.
Or you just got to go spend a lot of money on a Kirk Cousins like the Falcons did. Yeah, or maybe if you get a top 5 pick, you flip it for Michael Penix or somebody like that. A younger
that's
guy,
a good point.
Something like that. I don't know.
That's a good point. And then the other news was that the Panthers traded Deontay Johnson. Yeah. He's going to be a Raven. I think
Speaking of tankathon,
right.
You trade your best receiver and you're 1-7.
Yeah, I think it obviously helps the Ravens quite a bit. They're kind of a weird team, man. I mean, that was the team I picked to go to the Super Bowl, and I don't know. I don't know. They've lost to the Raiders and the Browns already. They've got some bad losses. Derrick Henry obviously looks awesome. Lamar looks awesome, but something's off. That defense isn't good this year.
Yeah,
the defense has been bad.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I don't know. Was there another NFL thing you want to get to?
Jameson Williams is under.
There's all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I believe I saw today. There's a warrant out for his arrest, because of a gun charge. He's got all kinds of because he's suspended right now for using an illegal substance.
Yeah.
Now he's got this issue that's popped up. So he was awesome for them before he got suspended.
The Vikings also got a left tackle because they lost Darisaw, like they're a really good player.
Yeah,
and they traded for the Jaguars left tackle Cam Robinson on Tuesday, apparently, according to sources. So,
all right, that's and speaking of NFL,
number 4.
Yeah, so Aaron Rodgers.
This had to be a story on its own. We were going to loop it into all the NFL notes, but it deserved its own attention.
This is worth talking about. So Aaron Rodgers has said that he has found a new drink that is a little fountain of youth, quote unquote. And he said he's drinking cayenne pepper and water, which was suggested to him by Thomas Morstead, his teammate. And he said he started drinking it before the Week 8 game and has continued this week. He's made it part of his rehab regimen. According to various medical journals, cayenne pepper and water can have several health benefits, including pain relief. So
I mean, what? It just makes you shit? Like what?
I think that's part of like the master cleanse diet is when
you would think so.
It's like cayenne pepper water, lemon juice, and honey is a drink. Like that's all you drink or no, maple syrup, and that's all you drink for like a week or something like that, because it has nutrients and I don't know. But
I like cayenne pepper.
I'm not a big cayenne. I prefer black pepper.
Okay, I mean I like it too.
Yeah.
But I enjoy cayenne pepper.
Cayenne's a little aggressive.
You think it's aggressive?
Yeah.
I like the
I'm not a
heat.
spicy guy, though.
Oh, I am. Like, I like everything nuclear. Yeah.
But then, do you like dealing with your stomach afterwards? Like,
well, it's my own. I mean, I think that's why I put it in 5 more things. I think Rodgers might be onto something, dude. Like,
how's that going to make him younger? He's going to spend more time in the bathroom.
He's lighter on his feet.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, he has movement issues. He tore his Achilles. Like, the guy needs to be that stomach's got to be empty.
Somebody, I think it was Roser, pointed out the other day. Like, who would have thought Kirk Cousins would recover better from the same injury that Aaron Rodgers has had, and Kirk Cousins had it months after Rodgers, and Kirk Cousins is doing pretty well, moving around for the Falcons, and Rodgers still looks pretty slow.
Yeah,
maybe this is his fountain of youth, as he put it. Maybe not. I don't know. I know. Look, Rodgers has his history of believing in homeopathic remedies, correct?
Yes, he did the ayahuasca treatment.
His own investigation into COVID remedies and different things. There's a long history of him believing in different alternative treatments and theories and things like that. I feel like we just add this to the list.
I will say, I don't think I would do it, but it did get my antennas up a little bit. Like I saw this and was like, do I want to go in my cabinet and get some cayenne pepper and see what this is like?
Do you just drink it like instead of like coffee, or what drink does it replace? You know what I mean? Like is when you would normally have a glass of water, instead you just mix some cayenne pepper
in it. Yeah. I think I might give it a try.
I also believe here's cooking with Lang coming into play here.
Yeah.
I believe pepper, like a lot of herbs, has to be activated by an oil. So when you use a spice, a lot of times when you use a spice, like if you garlic is also one of these things. So if you put garlic
you
in
put the
water,
oil in the pan, then you throw the garlic in the oil.
You have to use the oil. The fat has to activate the spice or the herb or whatever it is. Like garlic, if you put garlic in water, it doesn't really do anything to it. If you put it in oil, it turns it brown and crispy and all these different things. With water, it just sort of sits there. So I think I wonder if cayenne pepper doesn't really bloom in water the way it would in oil. Also, when you fry a pepper, it takes the heat out of it. I don't know if you've ever had deep fried something with a spice to it.
Oh yeah,
it makes it less spicy when you fry it. So I would think in water, it could also do the opposite. I don't know. Maybe it intensifies the heat. Spice.
Like if you have a cooked jalapeno or a pickled jalapeno as opposed to just taking a bite of a fresh jalapeno, very different. Don't take a bite of a fresh jalapeno.
Although I do sometimes when I cook with a jalapeno, I cut off a tiny sliver and try it because there's such a variation in them. Sometimes they're super hot, sometimes they're not. You don't know from pepper to pepper what you're going to get. Anyway.
All right, I don't think Rodgers is super off base on this one. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued.
Try it.
I'm intrigued.
Number 5.
All right, man. It's Halloween Eve.
It's Bennett season.
It's Halloween Eve.
Is Halloween your favorite holiday?
Okay, it's actually my favorite holiday is Christmas. I've always enjoyed that time of year. I enjoy this time of year, like October, November, December. My favorites.
Weather's the best.
The weather's the best. All the sports are back. It's you got the holidays. I love this time of year. It's great. Halloween, Christmas, Thanksgiving, love it all. So I've always loved. I would, if I was ranking holidays, I've typically put Christmas number 1. But my family loves Halloween. Like my wife, it's her favorite holiday. My kid Noah, that's his favorite holiday. So
you also love scary movies.
I love horror movies, and so. Yes, I love how I think it's inched up there. It's equal with Christmas, pretty much.
Whereas Thanksgiving is a distant third.
I love Thanksgiving too. I think Thanksgiving's super underrated. Yeah, people discard Thanksgiving. I think it's should be looped in with the 3.
I think it's the big 3.
Yeah, it's a big 3. It is. Yeah, it's the big 3.
And to me, Halloween's the smallest of the big 3. Thanksgiving's a multi-day extravaganza. You get football games especially for it. You have the giant meal. You
got the Macy's parade on
there's
TV.
A bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Halloween's just a one night thing. I mean, I know it turns into a several month thing, but Halloween's over in a couple hours.
Okay, so we got a couple news and notes on this Halloween Eve.
Let's go through them.
Well, one, are you dressing up tomorrow?
It's debatable. I have a costume ready to go, but I do the pregame show with Michael Wallace, and I don't think he's going to dress up. And then I do the postgame thing on the postgame show with Jessica Benson, and I don't think she's dressing up either.
So I'm going to be the only person here dressed up tomorrow.
So I could dress up because it would actually kind of be funnier if I'm dressed up and no one else is.
Mm-hmm.
And then on every show, I'm like, I thought we were like, what's going on, guys?
Yeah.
I was at Disney World like a month ago, and we went to the Halloween celebration stuff, and I got a T-shirt there. So I could do the T-shirt and the blazer. It's kind of funny.
I got it.
And they're giving away a Ja Morant T-shirt tomorrow night, a Ja Halloween shirt.
It's pretty sick.
It's pretty cool. So I could wear that.
Yeah, the T-shirt giveaway tomorrow is nice.
So that might be the move. I don't know.
But the thing is, everybody else is going to be wearing it too. Like everybody we already got one, so like everyone's going to have that shirt on tomorrow. You don't want to be that guy.
What if I just wore like
it was like when we got our Nike drop and everybody was wearing the sweatshirt and the hoodie the next day. Everyone in this building had on the same thing. But first, okay, speaking of costumes, first I want to give you credit because you sent me this last night. And this is a costume. Yeah. This is what Beck's going to be for. So your son Beck is going to be for Halloween. And this is, dude, this is awesome.
I could actually use some help from the chat here because so my son came to me. We started last year. He was Steven Adams, and we got him a wig and drew the tattoos on, and he had him a jersey and everything. So this year I asked him, "What do you want to be?" About a month ago, and he showed me he had found on the internet kids being a baseball card or a basketball card.
Yeah.
And so he was like, I want to be a card of an athlete. And I said, all right, well, who do you want to be? And he was like, well, he kind of has blondish brown hair. Yeah. He was like, I guess I could be Luka Doncic. So I was like, great. So we got him a Luka Doncic jersey. And then I started about 3 or 4 weeks ago working on this costume, making this card. So the front of it's 2 pieces of foam board, the foam core board. The front of that, I used a lot of like paint tape to like mark it off, right?
Yeah.
I've spent so much money on like paint markers and paint the last 3 weeks making this thing. The words are letters that I just bought off Amazon that stick on. I drew the little logo on there. Did it all myself, and it's been a real labor of love. The background I just spray painted like sort of atmospheric behind him. So attaching it to the body is the hard part. So we had some rope there. We tried it, and it started to break because the back part has to hold the front part, right?
Yeah.
So it's attached. So there was kids on the Today Show who did this, and they attached it with PVC pipe from the front to the back. I went to Home Depot and looked at PVC pipe, and it was so heavy. And I was like, I don't think I could do this. I don't think it would work. So we used a whole bunch of strips of other foam core board, thinking this is going to hold it. And there's about a whole roll of packing tape holding it all together. So what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to go home this afternoon before our game and do this. I found an old backpack from my son. I'm going to cut a hole in the back on the top and the bottom, run the backpack straps through it so he can put his arms in the straps, tighten it against his back, and then that'll give it the support being tied up against his back. Anyway.
Elite costume. Should enter in a costume
contest. If anyone
contest.
in the chat has I don't know if it's going to make it through Halloween night. I'll be honest with you. Like that thing is pretty.
That's okay. Just get the pictures.
It's also supposed to rain on Halloween night, and that could be devastating to this costume. If anyone in the chat has an idea of how to like hold that thing together or keep it a little more stable, I'm welcome to any suggestions. Anyway.
So some other notes we did get yesterday. There's going to be a new scary movie coming out. Were you a fan of the scary movie?
Yeah, the Wayans
saga.
Brothers.
Yeah, the Wayans Brothers.
They're not really scary movies though, right? They're like comedies.
Yeah, it's a spoof on like slasher films and stuff like that. So it'll actually be kind of cool to see how they modernize it, like what movies they decide to spoof. In this new, and obviously like horror movies have gotten more elevated and
Terrifier,
weird. So it'll be interesting to see what they spoof. Speaking of, they actually. Marlon Wayans was in there was a movie that came out on Netflix, I think last year. I can't remember the name of it, but it was a Halloween movie and it was really good. Like, 'cause if you got kids, like it was a good was a good Halloween movie for kids. It was about like all the Halloween decorations coming alive in this small town, and it was decent. Like, it was a good one for the family. So there was that news. Also, you mentioned Terrifier. Terrifier 3. This is pretty cool.
No, it's not.
Dude. It's past 50 million worldwide. It's now the highest grossing unrated movie of all time.
Unrated? Why is it unrated?
Because
it's so bad?
Yeah, you can't slap an R on it. No, dude, the kills are insane.
You could put an X on it or whatever, NC-17.
I don't know if they do that anymore. I think they just call it unrated. I don't know if they do NC-17 anymore.
If you go see that in the theater and you're like 12 years old, they'll just let you in if it doesn't have a rating.
Oh, no. If
it's unrated,
they're not going to let you in. Although I have seen I saw that kids were buying tickets to Wild Robot and sneaking into Terrifier 3, which that was probably a pretty eye-opening experience. I mentioned when I saw it, like multiple couples walked out. Because the first scene is...
there's also reports of people like vomiting in the theater and stuff.
Well, the first scene, I don't want to give anything away, but it's
been out
you're
for a month
you're
now.
gonna know immediately if you can stomach the movie or not. They are making another one, Terrifier 4, and it's gonna be more of an. I think you're gonna get like the origins of Art the Clown, how he came to be the sadistic person that he is now.
I went to the commonsensemedia.org, which does the parent reviews.
Yeah.
And I looked up Terrifier 3.
Mm-hmm.
Parents need to know Terrifier 3 is an ultra gory slasher movie. It's beyond brutal.
It is beyond brutal.
Yeah. Expect to see gushing blood, pools of blood, guns and shooting, entrails, some used as Christmas tree decorations.
Yes.
Severed heads, and other sequences with extremely graphic, disturbing imagery. They also have a list of all the curse words that are used, but I probably shouldn't go into that.
Yep, all of that and the above is in that movie. It was great. I loved it. It was a blast. I'm watching. I told you.
Did you drink some of that pepper water while you were in there?
I did not. I told you that I've been watching a horror movie every single day. Last night was Psycho 2. Yeah.
Is that the one with Vince Vaughn?
No, that's the remake. Yeah, that was the remake.
Who's in Psycho 2?
Anthony Perkins is back. He gets out of prison.
Is it a Hitchcock movie?
No, he's dead at that point. This was 1983, I think, when this came out. I'd never seen it. It actually wasn't bad.
My mom told me she was in college when the original Psycho came out.
Yeah.
And they had like the dorms, they had like shared bathrooms and stuff. And it was so scary that like the girls would have to have someone go with them and wait outside while they took a shower
because of that movie.
Because they were terrified. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
when I was on JB's show and we did the draft of the scariest movies of all time, I put Psycho on there, not because I think it's like the scariest movie of all time, but that scene changed how people showered. It literally that's always in your head when you're taking. If you've seen Psycho, that's always in your head. It's
not the most gory thing, but
but it's like this scary old lady's gonna bust in with a knife and stab me if I don't have.
Silence of the Lambs is not that gory either,
right?
But it messes with your head. Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, we've been watching that. I won't get to watch one tonight because I'm going to be here at the game. But maybe I'll have some pulled up.
Tonight's not the third quarter.
The third quarter of tonight's game is going to be the scary movie that I watched tonight. And then the last thing that I had for our little Halloween nuggets was Billboard put out. This is.
Was it Billboard that did this?
This is because it's Hot 100. Yeah, it's Billboard.
Yeah.
They put out their top 25 Halloween songs. Okay.
Yeah.
This is outrageous, dude. At number 25 is Thriller.
Yeah, which is
that's
terrible.
Like the greatest Halloween song of all time.
Yeah.
I pulled up the list.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's ahead of it?
I pulled up the list.
Look at that. But it also says that the Hot 100, Thriller's peak was number 4, which is kind of surprising.
That is kind of surprising.
You would think, I know the video changed MTV.
It's one of the biggest albums of all time.
And the video was like the most played thing in the history of MTV. But maybe the song, for whatever reason, I don't know.
Okay, so that was number 25, all right? Number 24 was, I know. Here's the thing. Let me preface this by saying some of these aren't like Halloween-themed songs. They're just like songs that may have like
something spooky in the title, or
yeah. So number 24 was Elvis Presley and the Jordanaires' "Devil in Disguise." Okay, I love the King, but come on. 23, Olivia Rodrigo, "Vampire." That's become like a popular modern one, not of our Thriller.
If NXS "Devil Inside's" on this list,
I believe it is number. So Bobby V, "Devil or Angel," 22. Never heard it. Justin Bieber's "Ghost" is 21. Roy Orbison's Running Scared at 20. You got Charlie Daniels Band, Devil Went Down to Georgia at 19. Santana, Black Magic Woman, 18. Credence, Bad Moon Rising, 17.
This is terrible.
I know, dude. Cliff Richard, Devil Woman is 16. Kodak Black, Super Gremlin, 15. Classics. Okay, so this is like
what was that?
That must just be
spooky.
Must be like that spooky, scary skeleton
How
song.
about Witchy Woman from the Eagles?
Imagine Dragons at 13. Demons.
Devil Inside.
Devil Inside is 12. But like, dude,
That's not a Halloween song,
bro. There is not one song on here. I haven't gotten to the top 10 yet. Mitch Ryder at 11. His sister made the top 10. Janet Jackson with Black Cat. That's a great song, but like Over Thriller is insane. T.I. I know T.I. and Justin Timberlake, Dead and Gone. Like, how does that?
This is brutal.
Because it has Dead in the title. Cher, Dark Lady. Rockwell, Somebody's Watching Me.
Creepy.
That's become a Halloween classic, but not over Thriller. Like, everybody plays Thriller ahead of that song. 8 is okay. This is so weird. Or 6 is Bobby Brown's On Our Own. This
Great
is
song.
It's from the Ghostbusters 2 soundtrack.
Yeah.
So where is the
Ghostbusters
has
in the
got to be
video.
ahead
Do you
of
remember?
it.
Oh, that's
Ghostbusters
true.
has got to be ahead of that. Eminem and Rihanna, Monster is number 5. Edgar Winter Group's Frankenstein is 4. Post Malone, Psycho. I'm not unfamiliar with that song. It's number 3.
There you go.
Number 2 is Ghostbusters. That makes sense. You would put Ghostbusters in the top 10. And number 1 is Monster Mash.
Yeah.
So the top 2 I get, but like Thriller being at 25,
behind Devil Inside.
This is one of those. This is one of those lists that I feel like you make at Halloween time to garner up, like,
to get us to talk about it,
get engagement, get people to talk about it, because no one in their right mind would ever. I mean, Billboard, do better.
I agree.
Didn't your wife used to work for Billboard?
She did, yeah.
She needs to put in a phone call.
I wrote for Billboard. I've written some Billboard cover stories.
Dude, you need to get on the phone and call these people.
I don't know the people there anymore.
You don't?
Yeah.
Okay, because this is an egregious list. I don't support it at all. That's pretty much all I got for my Halloween nuggets. Any, like, are you watching any horror movies this month?
No.
No. You're just not a...
Not like
Other than designing great costumes.
We did decorate the house. And we did we bought some of like a bag of bones, the plastic bones, and did like a
we got the bones.
We did like a fake graveyard out in front of the house.
Mm-hmm.
My son went on the Haunted Mansion website and got like the fake tombstones from Disney World and like wrote them on the
Those
thing.
are cool.
So we did a little decorating. I've been working on this costume forever. Got some things going, but I'm just
my neighbor I wish I would have gotten the video. He has a really cool display in his yard, and it is life-size figures of pretty much like the who's who of like scary Michael Myers, Jason, Freddy, Chucky, Pennywise. He's got like he's got a skeleton running over someone with a lawnmower. The Jason one, it's like really elaborate. Jason is stabbing someone in the head, and the head is spitting blood out into a little kiddie pool. Like, his yard looks amazing. And my kid makes us go down and look at it every single night. It's in East Memphis, and it's like one of the coolest Halloween setups I've ever seen. So shout out to my neighbor Mac.
All right.
But that's all I got, man. Halloween is tomorrow. We'll be here for the game tomorrow night, but I will be celebrating in spirit, and I will dress up tomorrow, even if nobody else does.
All right. Let's do it. All right. Tomorrow night's Halloween. Been psyched. We're all ready.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break. We're going to come back here and close out today's Gary Parrish Show with the GP Takeout. You're watching the Gary Parrish Show here on Grind City Media.
John Cena was spilling life lessons on this stream, bro. So the best thing I watched all week, John Cena on the Cassinet stream. By the way, he stole your hairdo. You got to make a phone call.
I was about to say, you showed me a little bit of this clip because I saw the messy room, and the only thing I could see is John Cena's hair. I mean, come on, bro.
He stole your bar.
It's
he stole
literally identical.
He stole your flow, bar for bar, word for word.
How is mine more gray than his, though?
Tune in to Grind City Wrestling weekly on the Grind City Media app and on the Grind City Media YouTube channel.
We got to talk about Scottie Pippen Jr. Scottie has inked that contract. He is now officially off the two-way. He is a member of the regular rotation.
Well deserved, from my opinion. Like, he straight up earned this one from all the time put in last season with the injuries to Summer League.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to Grizzbeat, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Anticipate each challenge. Make a quick response.
capitalize on every opportunity, and win. Greatness won't wait. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st. And you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
Justin Timberlake. I'm bringing sexy back. The Forget Tomorrow World Tour. Live in Memphis. Justin Timberlake. FedEx Forum, Saturday, November 23rd. Get tickets now at livenation.com. The brand new single Selfish is available to stream and download now. For more, hit up justintimberlake.com.
Welcome back to the Gary Parrish Show here on Grind City Media. I'm Lane Whitaker sitting in for GP today. Bennett Doyle's here, and it's time for GP's Takeout.
It's time for GP's Carryout. One final segment filled with stuff to take
Same
with
thing.
you. It's not everything you need to know, but it's most of it. What did we learn today?
We're doing the warm-up show, and I keep calling it the wrap-up show, which is wrong because it's the warm-up.
You're actually getting people ready. You're not wrapping anything up.
I do a wrap-up show called the Grind City Rewind, but it's different than anyway. Carry out, take out.
They're all just a version of the same thing, pretty much. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
What we learned today, we learned about the Grizzlies having trouble in the third quarters and how we're going to fix it. And we've got lots of easy, simple fixes for the teams to just implement. It'll be fine.
Yep.
What's today's biggest game?
It is, of course, Grizzlies Nets tonight right here inside FedEx Forum. Our old friend Zaire Williams is back in town. Nets are coming. This is the second night of a back-to-back for the Nets. They went into lost in overtime. Was it at Denver last night? Or
it was in Brooklyn.
It was in Brooklyn. So you would think this is a really good spot for the Grizzlies. It's why they're an 11.5-point favorite tonight at home.
That's a lot of points.
That's a blot. I don't like that. I don't like that, especially when
What's the over under?
I don't have it. I don't know. 225.5.
That's a lot of points too.
That's a whole lot. Yeah, I mean, I might. No, I'll go Grizzlies. Here's why. Because I think that first, I think they're gonna just get off to a hot start like they have in all of these games so far. The difference being, I think that they are going to come out in the third quarter and take it really seriously. Yeah.
I think so too. I mean, the other thing about having all these huge blown leads every game is that it means they've had huge leads every game. And if they can have one of these games where they just sustain it, I mean, there's going to be...
Dude, if they go into halftime up 15, I just don't see how they come out in the third quarter and don't just run it up. Yeah. You know what I mean? Especially a team coming off second night of a back-to-back where they went to overtime.
Except the Grizzlies have another game tomorrow night here at home. And maybe they're like, all right.
Rest guys?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the hope is that you play like the Orlando game, I think. You get a big enough lead heading into the fourth that Yuki and those guys get some playing time down the stretch. So
I'll go Grizzlies because it feels, I don't know. That's such a big number that it feels like one of those things. It's like that for a reason.
I'll go Grizzlies too. And I also think a big game tonight from Jay Huff.
That'd be awesome.
Like Nick Claxton's not playing for the Nets.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Huff get up
I like
and
that.
down the floor.
We don't know Edie's status yet. Yeah. I like that too. Okay, we're going Grizz.
What are we watching on TV?
Okay, I've got a couple things on Netflix. Right. First off, if you're wanting sports and not watching the Grizzlies game, World Series Game 5's tonight.
An amazing matchup too. Garrett Cole against Jack Flaherty, pitching matchup.
Yeah, I'm gonna have that. That's what I'm gonna have to have pulled up on the small screen in front of me. Okay. Yeah, aka my phone.
All right.
Yeah, but. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing to watch tonight. But I got a couple other things. There's 2 new documentaries on Netflix that dropped today. One is called Martha, and it's a documentary about Martha Stewart.
Yeah.
And she went to prison, but she's overcome all that.
She's overcome all that.
She's back, in case you didn't know.
Well, it's not like she was like gangbanging and stuff. She was insider trading is why she went to prison.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So this is a documentary about Martha Stewart that just dropped on Netflix. Another documentary that just dropped, this I think kind of sticks with the spooky season theme. It's called This Is the Zodiac Speaking, documentary about the Zodiac Killer. So that's kind of up my alley. I might check that out.
I was listening to some podcast the other day, and they were talking about how Netflix now is just like cranking out every serial killer documentary.
Yes.
Even if there's been documentaries, they're just doing it.
It doesn't matter. We'll do a new one.
Yeah.
And I mentioned I watched Psycho 2 last night. Psycho and Psycho 2 are both on Netflix right now. So if you're interested in that, obviously the classic Alfred Hitchcock movie, the original, but the second one wasn't bad. I kind of liked it.
The original one's cool because it's more of a thriller than a horror movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it's like a psychological one. It's kind of cool, so worth watching.
Yeah.
What's the best thing we've read?
I would tell people to read Michael Wallace's article. He was on here earlier talking about it, about the Grizzlies' third quarter struggles, how they are going to address it, seek to thwart third quarter woes. It's on grindcitymedia.com.
What's on tap for tomorrow?
What you got?
It's Halloween, dude. It's Halloween. Yeah, GP will be back tomorrow.
It's done with the kids.
Yeah, we'll be recapping tonight's game. We got another game tomorrow night against the Milwaukee Bucks, who Mike said are in town already. They're waiting for the Grizzlies.
Last time when Doc Rivers was the Clippers coach, they were in town a day early, and I went to lunch at Rendezvous, and Doc Rivers was just in there by himself.
Oh, really?
Lunch. Yeah, so maybe he'd be there today having lunch. Who knows?
Yeah, so it's a big Grizzlies week, big Grizzlies night, and Halloween tomorrow. I'm sure we'll have a little fun with Halloween tomorrow as well. And then we got Hustle Media Day coming up this week as well. So it's a busy week here inside FedEx Forum. We got a lot on the schedule for tomorrow. Appreciate you hosting today, man.
Yeah, man. I always love sitting in and chatting with you.
Yes, sir.
You can catch me tonight on the warm-up show at 6 o'clock on YouTube, on Twitter, on the Grind City Media app, all those places live. 6 o'clock. John Roser will be with me, Jessica Benson, Megan Triplett stopping in tonight, and we're going to preview the game, get you ready for that.
Cool.
Tomorrow I'm hosting with Rob Fisher, The Odds Couple, 2 o'clock tomorrow, where we'll get you ready for the weekend of college football and NFL football. A lot of stuff going on there. So that's today.
Get here early tonight. Get your oh wait, that's tomorrow. Tomorrow night's the Jaw t-shirt. Tonight's Magnets, right?
No, tonight's civic participation night or something like that. It's they're giving away the Grizz Vote
the
pins.
Grizz Vote pin, which is sick. I got the pin. The pin is cool. Nice. Yeah, come get your pin.
It's a little state of Tennessee, and it says Grizz Vote. They're pretty cool. They're giving away, I think, 3,000 the first people get here. Tomorrow night's Jaw t-shirt night.
And it's an awesome shirt. So
cool
get here early.
Shirt. Yeah. So, all right. I appreciate you guys hanging out with us today here on the Gary Parrish Show. He's been at Doyle. Abigail was down there on the ones and twos. I'm Lang Whitaker. And we'll see you back here soon tomorrow on Grind City Media.